Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to CINE 360, where we take a deep dive into the science, tech, innovation, and entrepreneurship shaping Africa's creative and entertainment industries. I'm your girl, Cynthia. You can call me the lady with no AKA. And today we are zooming in, literally, on one of the most dynamic creative crafts of our time, and that's videography. We've seen the rise of drone, we've seen cinematography to AI-enhanced editing tools, we've seen short-form reels that go viral overnight, we've seen documentary storytelling that changes lives, and videography has become more than just pressing the record. It's innovation, it's business, and it's the language of our digital age. In the past, we've seen videography was mostly about weddings. It was about videos, music videos, like I said before, documentaries, but today it's a tech-driven craft. Cameras are now, or should I say, cameras now use AI for autofocus, or focus rather. They use editing software that predicts cuts, and even smartphones, like the one in my hand, to shoot like 4K cinematic footage. So today we'll be joined by somebody, and I like his name. His name is very unique, different. I want to see what's behind that name. Like I always say, there's a science behind everything, and I guess there's a science behind his name. He's one of Nigeria's rising visual storytellers and a tech explorer, and an artist whose works have captured innovation, art, and emotion through the lens. But before we meet our guest, let's look at what's changing in the visual storytelling landscape.
Augmented reality, AR, and virtual reality, VR. AR and VR are transforming the way we experience the world, offering immersive digital environments in everything from gaming to training simulations. AR overlays digital elements onto the real world, think Pokemon Go, while VR immerses users in a completely virtual space. Industries like real estate and education are adopting these technologies for virtual tours and interactive learning, but the cost of high-end equipment remains a barrier. Despite that, the AR/VR market is projected to reach $209.2 billion by 2025, driven by advancements in hardware and 5G networks.
Good to have you back. I told you we have a guest today, and our guest is a visual storyteller, he's a techpreneur, he is a creative, like they call it these days, they say it's a creative. So let's meet our guest, let's meet Different. I want to know what's behind that name, Different.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Different.
Yes, so this is it's not really that deep. It's just how I perceive myself amongst every other person and every other thing. You guess so just the perspective I have of myself.
So is that the name you were given when you were giving birth to?
No, my government name is Steven.
Oh, your government name. Okay,
Yes,
good to have you, Different.
thank you.
So videography is now a science as much as it is an art. There's motion tracking, there's green screen compositioning, there's volumetric capture, there's even AI-generated backgrounds. But what's more interesting is how African videographers are adapting these technologies creatively. Welcome once again to CINE 360. So I want to ask you, tell us about your journey. How did you move from holding a camera to building a creative identity through videography?
So I've always had ideas in my head, and I found myself, because of the line of expression that I started with. I'm a musician.
Okay,
So
I can tell.
So I started by wanting to get the ideas that I see in my mind out. So that's how I got into videography, and I started to meddle with, or I started to work with a company that does events
Okay.
and weddings. So that's my first contact with video, and gradually, over time, I think it's a space of 5 years now, I've been able to delve into other aspects of content creation and storytelling through visuals.
Interesting. That's the thing now. That's the end thing, content creation and whatnot. But in this age of innovation, I mean, first of all, do you believe that there's a science behind videography?
Of course.
Okay. So in this age of innovation, tell us how can you define videography?
Hmm. I see videography now as a way of, expressing emotions, telling stories, and creating culture.
Hmm,
You get
interesting.
so since the development of technology, and in these days technology grows very fast, so it's been able to impact directly on videography because of these equipments that come out now, like some 20, 20 years back, we didn't have access to like drones or AI or all these things that technology has provided us
Sure.
now to aid storytelling. So I really believe that it has directly impacted the way and style we portray our culture as Africans, as Nigerians first, then as Africans to
True.
the world, you know.
True.
Plus, in this day and time, again, that thing with tech, in this day and time of social media, you can a random person who has interest or who has the skill can create something and then put it out there, and someone somewhere in the world will be able
Pick
to,
it up.
yeah,
True.
exactly. So
True. It's beautiful where we are going with in the creative space. I mean, before videographers is like it's only for naming ceremony. We the millennials, how we call it then when we're giving birth to videographer. If they say you want to be a how do they call it then? It's not even is it picture man,
cameraman.
cameraman. You want to be me I don't want to be a cameraman and all of those things. But these days we are seeing people owning up to it and standing firm, standing out there proudly saying, I am a videographer, and they have beautiful names for it. I'm a visual storyteller. Some people will say I'm the man behind the lens and so whatnot. So we've seen creators blend cinematography, with 3D graphics, lighting, design, and even drone. We've seen them, create those drone choreography and a whole lot more. So what's your take on this evolution? How do you see technology? You started saying it, but how do you see technology shaping the way we feel visuals, the way we see it? We that are watching, your works, we that are there seeing what you do, and those that want to, go into it.
Okay, so
Or should I put it? Is technology even doing more harm than good? Because there's this whole thing with, okay, we'll get to AI. Let's just start on the, upper level of it first. We'll get to AI.
So the introduction of all these equipments, like you mentioned, the drones and AI and all of these things, just help us as videographers to put more detail into the way we tell the stories. Like you rightly mentioned, before we're just capturing, we're just documenting. In those days, when you go to watch a wedding film, it's like they just
Do we
show
even
you
have
what
They're
happened.
just there's no
Yes,
story
now,
behind it before.
or now you go online and you see wedding video highlights. Just to compress the whole event into 2 minutes. So all these things are possible because of the coming of technology and introduction of drones. For example, we have aerial. You can easily get aerial shots now of stuff you want to capture, and like I said, all these high mirrorless cameras that allow you to really shoot particular details
Details.
and add to what you want to show people. You get so. I feel like it has really played a big role in how videos come out these days.
I think it's making works come out faster and
Yeah.
more efficiently. But then let's get to AI now. Because there's this whole thing, I know you must have heard of it in different fields, not just questioning one, work field. It's questioning all work fields these days. You hear AI is going to take away your job. AI is going to take away your job. And I'm like, is AI going to take away? But I want to know from your own work field, do you think AI is going to take away your job? I mean, you've clearly told us that technology is here, is making work easier, making work more efficient, faster and whatnot, and it helps you guys help us feel, the story, storylines and whatnot. But then, is AI going to take away your job?
Yeah. To be honest, I feel like if anything, has come to aid our work.
Mm,
You
okay.
know, because for me, it's a perspective thing. If you see it as something that a tool to help you, you approach it in a manner and see how it can help you develop your work. Like you said, I don't think AI can make you feel as of now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the stories that you can tell with your creative mind that will transfer the emotions to the viewers, or the
Interesting.
consumer. You get, so AI just helps make that work easier for us, in my own perspective.
It's like AI is. I think we're going to draw a line here, one battle line like this. Because everybody that comes here have agreed that AI is for the win. So I think AI is 1-0 and humans are 0. AI is 1. Now, but then people see videographers or videography rather, as an art form, and but there's lots of science involved. I started saying that I asked you first if you believe videography there's a science behind videography, or what's the science behind videography. So I feel like there's a lot of science involved, but I don't know. Let's hear from the horse's mouth. I feel like there's physics, there's lightning, there's engineering, especially when it comes to feeling that emotion. So do you agree that there's a blend between this art and science, and how do you balance these two, the art and the science behind it, to help us feel that emotion?
Okay, so you know, so how they say? They say lights, camera, action. Yeah. So I
Here on Scene 360, we say light, camera, innovation.
also, so I feel like for example, this is an example of how we can how I can explain this to you now is in terms of lighting, for example. So the knowledge, the the know-how of how to use lighting to shoot a video, for example, has a direct impact to how the viewers feel it. Because shadows play very important roles in creating depth and ultimately creating feelings. You understand? So the knowledge of how to use lighting to help your work definitely has a direct impact to this. For example, this light that's hitting you now creates a shadow under here that makes it more realistic. You get, so I feel like that way
That's where the science
that's
comes
where
in.
it comes in. Yes,
We
to
need to
know.
have deep thoughts. Okay.
So there are people, for example, this videography thing, there are people who, they call them gaffers, the guys who handle lighting and stuff. So those guys have in-depth knowledge of how to light a set, light a shoot, and create those feelings, because there are different lighting techniques for different emotions that you're trying to pass out. Yeah, so.
Okay, so when you are given a work to do, someone say, come, okay, maybe come cover a wedding for me, or come shoot a music video for me. Like, what comes to your mind? How do you, like, what's your thought process? What's your creative process? Like, we don't want to steal your creative process, what's behind your creative process, but I really want to understand the depth of how you think, like, where the ideas come from.
Okay, so in this part, for example, in in weddings, so in this part is literally just, you know, capturing as it is happening.
Okay.
But if you're talking about music videos, so you get, if I get approached to shoot a music video, I start to think of, I first of all listen to the song, then I start to think of how to, because personally I like to see myself as a storyteller, not just someone who goes to capture. So I try to, if the song has a story, so I try to build off that. You understand? If not, I try to create a story that aligns with the song, and then I start to look for stuff that will help me bring the story to life in terms of equipment, in terms of location, in terms of, you know, all those things that you consider and that helps to produce the video.
Okay,
That's
so
pre-production.
okay, let's talk about business a little.
Okay.
Because on Idea TV we promote entrepreneurship very well, and I've come to understand that there is a lot of business aspect of videography. I mean, like I said, starting off, it's the in thing now. Like everybody wants to be, but I believe that people will not just want to be trotting towards this line just like that, just for the whole form of fun of it, or just for name, or for some glorification somehow. I don't know. I feel like there's something behind it. There's money aspect, monetary aspect. You know, people want to make money. So videography today isn't just an art. I feel like it's an industry, and from social media marketing to music videos, commercials. I mean, we talked about music videos, shooting music videos, shooting weddings, documentaries. The creative economy around videography is booming, and you know, what's interesting is how you videographers are turning this into a full-fledged entrepreneurial venture. Like I said, um, we have a lot of affordable gears now. We have the social media there. You know, you talked about content creation. There's a whole lot of things that is there to aid your work. And I feel like videography has become that pathway for self-employment, especially now in this age of innovation that we are pushing for work at home, hybrid work, you know, and all of those things. So how will you say, how is the videography business? Is it just a craft, or how do you navigate all of these things? I want to understand. How do you navigate pricing? How do you navigate brand? I'm sure people out there who wants to be videographers too are trying to learn one or two.
Oh. So, you know, this is an economy, and it's a little ecosystem that involves not just the videographer, the stylist, the makeup artist, the set designer, and all of these other guys that come to make these things that you guys watch come alive. You get? So there's different aspects, but I feel like the business aspect now, for example, you have to know your audience, you have to know your client and what they are trying to achieve. You know what you want to use to achieve what they want for them, you know, and then you, in my own experience, when you figure out all that, you do business based off that, based off the different aspects and sectors that will be involved in creating the video.
Okay, so let's talk about your personal branding now.
Yes.
How do you brand yourself? How do you put yourself out there for people to want to, you know, partner with you? How do you use this digital also, you know, while still staying creative?
It's social media. For me, social media is the biggest platform for that. It's like a marketplace where you go to, you know, or a showroom where you go to show yourself or what you can do to the world. So I use social media to my advantage, sponsorship, you know, and word of mouth, because people forget that that's like one of the most effective ways to sell yourself as or brand yourself, you know. And I always try to look the part as well, you know, because if, like when I came in here and someone asked me, "Are you?" and I'm like, "Yes," because if you look at me, you figure out that I'm in this line of business. You get?
Okay, so that brought something to my mind now.
Yeah.
So we're discussing about people in the creative space, you know, people that identify as creatives. And we were talking, we're like, okay, do you have to look a certain way? This is coming in because you mentioned it. Do you have to look a certain way to be identified as a creative?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily. There's no particular way
Okay.
creative is supposed to look. But I feel like we have minds that are like almost, if I will use the word, chaotic, because you're always thinking and trying to create, and creation comes with chaos. So I feel like if you are expressive, it will show in the way you look.
Creation comes with chaos. Interesting. Interesting. I'll hold that and I'll research about it. Comes with. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a story for another day. Okay. So moving on, how do you balance creativity with your client's needs? I know you've spoken about it, but how do you balance it? Your creative thinking with what your clients need, because sometimes you might have this juxtaposition in ideas and thinking. I come to you as a client now, I need something, and then you're telling me this is how I want it to be, and I'm telling you this is not how. But how do you find that balance?
I mean, ultimately, I think it's about what the client wants, because how it is in your mind may not necessarily be how it will please the client. And if you are doing it for someone and getting paid for it, I like to prioritize the person's satisfaction. You get so, but as a creative or videographer, I let you know my own perspective and what I feel like will be best for the visuals.
Okay.
But if you insist on doing it the way you want to do it, then I'll make it work for you.
Okay. All right. So do you think Nigerian videographers are now competing globally?
Of course. Of course.
Where are we at now? Where are we at now in 2025, and where are we going to?
I think Nigerian videographers are doing really well because, man, there's some 10 years ago we couldn't compete with the world at all. But you have people like Meji Alabi doing great things,
They're even entering movies these days. I'm saying those in the those that shoot music videos are now going into movie
movies,
making
yes.
and what.
Because all these things they've become more accessible to us, and Nigerians, we know how to use stuff. You get. So when we started to get our hands on these equipments, and your phone can shoot 4K now, you get a good video on your phone. So all these things we utilize them to our advantage, and then over time, and I can say over a very short time even, we've been able to come to par with the world.
Okay, so I want to ask you now, in your own view, what do you think is the next big leap for, let me not just say just for African photographers, use yourself as a point of intersection now. What do you think is the next big leap for African videographers in terms of innovation? Like I asked you earlier on that do you think AI can replace the job of videographers? Well, you said no, it's here to aid us. So what do you think is that next big thing for African videographers in terms of innovation? What do you think would come out again?
Innovation can also be not necessarily be the production of new gadgets or equipment. It can be new ways of using what we already have.
Wow, interesting.
You get. So I guess let's see let's see how it goes.
Let's see.
I know that with continuous work, like as a collective, in a space of 5 to 10 years, we'll see very great leap in the industry.
Okay, let's watch this space. That's different space. Let's see what's going to come out that is going to be different from now. So, if your camera, this is an icebreaker question here. If your camera could talk, what's one thing it would probably complain about the most?
If my camera could talk?
Yes.
I don't let you rest.
You use it every...
Yes, I create almost every time. Yeah, so that's why sometimes I refer to myself as a content creator. It must not necessarily be my field of creation, like or my focus area. If I see something that catches my attention, I'm bringing out my camera and I'm documenting for documenting sake.
Okay, so you're just like you're a freelancer, eh?
Yes.
So what's your own field of videography? What's your own niche? Is everything okay? Music videos
and events.
And events. Oh, okay, interesting. So we've come to the end of CINE 360, and it's good to have you here. But then, what will you say to those that wants to be different one day. I mean, in terms of videography, those who wants to be videographer, those who are in this space and thinking of what to, do in terms of innovation. Like you said, innovation doesn't necessarily mean, I mean, that's what I caught for today. I always catch something from my guest and, pocket it, and that's what I caught for today. Innovation doesn't necessarily have to be new technologies and new. I mean, this is Idea TV. Innovation can be new ideas and how we use what we already have. Interesting. That's a very interesting point. So just in few one or two, three sentences, lines, words, what can you say to those who are watching this space who wants to go into this line of work too?
First of all, you have to start to be able to innovate. Innovation cannot happen if you don't do anything. So my advice to anybody that wants to listen is to start shooting now, start creating, however small. Yeah, so you start, when you get into the process, you'll see what needs to be upgraded or changed along the way.
Interesting. So from innovation behind the camera to creativity in front of it, videography continues to redefine how Africa tells a story. Thank you, Difference, for sharing your vision, and to you, our viewers, for watching CINE 360 today. We view the world through the lens of science, we view the world through the lens of technology, creativity, and of course, innovation. So don't forget to follow us on X, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and of course, subscribe to our YouTube at Idea Television. You can also catch us on Limex, yes, and follow me too as well at Cynthia Bassi on Instagram, on Facebook, and on X. I'm Cynthia, once again, the lady with no AKA, reminding you to keep your imagination in focus and your innovation rolling. See you next episode.